What is up, my beautiful YouTube fans? Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the Wired Cruiser today. 35 miles an hour, catching up to this car. Oh, baby! Sorry, I got a little excited there, but this thing is just so fast. It's unbelievable. A lot of these cars are like, what is that? You know, because they see like you pedaling. What are you, a bicycle, a moped? What is that thing? And when you bring it on a rail trail, because that's something you can do with e-bikes, when you bring it on a rail trail, people are also like, what is that thing? It sounds like a monster. The tires, the motor, it's got this like growl to it almost. They look back and you're like, oh my God, what is that thing? I don't want to get run over. And yes, it is a monster. So back around 2022, sometime last year, people started to talk about a bike that was out there. It was absolutely ungodly, insanely fast and powerful, and it was only $2,000. This thing blew everything else out of the water within that price range. For just $2,000, you can get something that can go allegedly 35 plus miles an hour under its own power. To get something else that fast, you would straight up just have to build it yourself or go through some sketchy Alibaba sites to get something even that comes close to that fast. And a little company back then known as Wicked, now known as Wired, decided to create a monster, right? An absolute beast of an e-bike. While everyone else was proud to be using 52 volt systems, they said, you know what? Let's go with 60, baby. Come on, 60 volts, baby. Let's do it. Let's one up everyone else. Everyone else is so proud to be using 52 volts. We're gonna one up them. Everyone else is also using moderately sized batteries, maybe 15 amp hours, maybe 20 amp hours, you know, somewhere around 1,000 watt hours, depending on the voltage of the bike. This one, 1,200 watt hours. They went even more. They went crazy with the battery. And the motor, everyone is using these Bafang motors, you know, nylon gears, pretty standard. Even the motors that are on the Kepler, they're good motors. They have nylon gears. They peak at, you know, Kepler's peaks at about 1,500 to 1,800 watts, somewhere on there. This one peaks at 2,000. This motor is bigger, has more copper in it. It has a nominal voltage of 1,000 watts and peaks over at 2,000. And wait till the end of the video, guys. I've got a little announcement I want to make on what I'm going to be doing with this bike in terms of how much power it can produce. So stay tuned to the end of the video. But right now, it peaks at over 2,000 watts. I've seen this thing go over 2,100, 2,200 watts. All these other bikes, they were using maybe like 20 or 30 amp controllers. This one, 40 amps. Crazy. And believe it or not, everyone else, some of the other big manufacturers out there, they were charging more than $2,000 to get way less than what you get with this bike. I'm looking at you, Super 73. Freaking overpriced thing. Sorry if you love Super 73. I just think it's overpriced. Anyways, back to the video. A lot of companies, they're just ripping you off, charging you an arm and a leg for less than what you get with this bike. This company kept this bike at $2,000. So if you want power, lots of it, for an amazing value, this is the bike to get right here, guys. This is what you want. So guys, today we are going to be reviewing the Wired Cruiser, formerly known as Wicked. 2,000 watts plus 40 amps, 1,200 watt hours of battery, 60 volts, top speed at least 35 miles an hour. Some people go even faster, 38, almost 40, under its own power. It's ridiculous. And the best part is, it's only $2,000. Bikes with this type of performance would usually be closer to 3, maybe even more. This one, two grand. Unbelievable. And you don't have to go on some sketchy Alibaba, AliExpress website to get it. This is a company that is based out of America. I didn't say the bikes are based out of America. Most things are sourced from China nowadays. But the customer service is in America. I've actually talked to the owner many times for many reasons. Little things here and there. This bike was actually a second-hand purchase and I bought it for a very good price, but because of that, come on, squirrel. Because of that, there were a couple things that needed to be fixed. Little things like stuff with the brakes, a couple other things, and Steve, the owner, just sent the parts right out. Look at this squirrel, he just wants to be on the road. Where you going, buddy? He just sent the parts right out. Immediately responds. I'm not talking to someone from China. Customer service in this company is excellent, guys. If you're worried about that, nothing to worry about, I promise you. When it comes to the display of this bike, you can adjust almost anything. Hold on a second, I gotta get under these branches. I gotta walk under these branches. Come on, guys. Trim your trees. Jesus. All right, we're back. You can adjust almost anything. You can adjust the top speed, of course. You can adjust how much power each pedal assist level gives you. A lot of other things. You can see the ambient temperature, the motor temperature, in case you're worried about overheating. You can see the voltage of the battery. It's not just some bars that you look at or some percentage. You can see the voltage and a whole lot of other things. So the program that the controller comes with and the display, it's fantastic. Clear, white letters, black background, very clear to look at, no issues at all. I started out doing this video review trying to make some notes on what I was gonna say while riding this bike. But I realized that I would have to memorize my entire script that I wrote out. So I'm just gonna do some voiceovers while I'm riding this bike, and that way I can also show you little things on websites, different comparisons, different scenes from other videos that I made with this bike. Because this review I filmed over multiple days in multiple locations. I just want to give you guys the best footage possible. And if you like this type of content, if you want me to make more content like this, if you want to show this channel some love, support the channel, feel free to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Check out some of the accessories that I listed down in the affiliate links in the description. And I do also have an affiliate link from the owner of the company, Wired. He gave me a link, so if you guys want to buy this bike through that link, the channel does get a commission. I would greatly appreciate that. Greatly appreciate your support, guys. But anyways, let's get back into the video. Guys, when it comes to hill climbing for a single motor bike, unless you're buying something crazy fast or a high-powered mid-drive, this thing is unbeatable. For the price, for the power, for the torque, It's unbeatable. So we got this, let's do a quick hill climb test. We got this moderately steep hill. Initially it's not too steep, but it does get steeper up top. Throttle only, guys. Let's hit it. Boom. The wheel likes to lift up a little bit. Not to the point where it wheelies, but you could feel the front shocks decompress. $19 miles an hour. We got 20, 18, 17, 18. And I actually did that test a little bit earlier with a full battery, and it did go a little bit faster. You guys have seen some of my other videos comparing the Kepler to this bike. So we got a little hill right here. It's nothing too steep. We're just gonna do throttle only. No other bike can take this hill that easily. No other bike that's within the consumer range. Obviously you guys can build your own 72 volt monsters, but people that are buying like Aventins, all these like mock wheel bikes, whatever they're called nowadays, nothing comes even close to this 60 volt system. 2,000 watts, over 2,000 watts. Those bikes, they might get to like, 1,000, 1,500, somewhere in there. Nothing comes close to the hill climb performance, unless maybe it has dual motors. But guys, this is a single motor. This is crazy. Check this out. And the front wheel lifts off a little bit when you accelerate. It doesn't quite wheelie, but you feel the suspension decompress. I'm accelerating up this hill, 20 miles an hour. I weigh 200 pounds. And this top part is pretty steep. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Unbelievable. Any other bike would be crushed by that hill. It'd be crawling 5 to 10 miles an hour. Maybe besides the Kepler. But even that's a little bit slower than this. Top speed. This bike is unreal. You can literally just keep up with traffic if you want to. So, a bunch of cars in front of me. 30 something miles an hour. Easy. I'm catching up to this car. I literally have to slow down for traffic with this bike. What kind of e-bike gives you this performance? Unreal. I did put on a lot of different accessories on this bike. New grips. I have a bell. I have a horn, alarm system. I have a rear radar, a mirror. I have everything. A toolkit. As you guys can see, I have done many mods to this bike, which is why I'm not reviewing the smaller parts of this bike, such as like the handlebar grips and the seat, because it's all been replaced. I've got a pump right over here. Got new disc rotors, 203 millimeter. Put flat out in the tires, official license plate. I also have a whole bag in here with a repair kit and an extra tube. And I tried lots of different bags, but this one fit the best. I bungeed it up to the seat to make sure it doesn't fall down from all the bouncing around and whatnot. The Garmin radar that tells me when I should look at my mirror, bar end mirror. Got my bear spray. Got the alarm / horn, which is very loud. Very loud, guys. Got the Gub phone mount. The storage holder, which is great for as a cup holder too. The bell, very important. If the bell doesn't work, you horn at them, right? It's awesome. Right, so I've done many mods to this. Obviously the seat. These tires, they came with whoever I've got this bike from put tires that were too big for this bike. These are actually 5-inch wide, so I had to cut the sides off right here to get clearance for the chain. But even with this, guys, I've got 2 chain guards, a 60 tooth front chain ring, which is really good for that high speed pedaling. I'm gonna put links to all this stuff in the description. You guys can check it out. This chain guide is awesome. It prevents the chain from dropping down from bumps and whatnot. It is outstanding. And of course, I've got the 11 to 34 freewheel back here. But this thing is a beast, guys. It's a monster. If you want to see the accessories I have on this bike, and I really thought them through, check out the description in this video. I'll leave some links. They are affiliate links, so if you guys use those links to buy accessories or anything else on Amazon, I do get a commission. I would greatly appreciate that. Help support the channel if you guys want to see more videos like this.
Bruh.
Hey guys, my long-term plan for this bike was initially going to be to throw a 72 volt system on it. But I don't want to sell the original 60 volt battery, and I don't want to replace the controller. And apparently this controller, I still have to take it apart, but Steve, the owner of Wired, said that the capacitors are rated up to 80 volts. And if you guys know about 72 volt batteries, when they're fully charged, they're about 84 volts. And so look at this power, look at the speed. 34, 33, we're going uphill, up and down the hills right now. So a fully charged 72 volt battery is 84 volts, and so that would exceed the capacitor rating. And I really don't want to replace everything on this bike because I'm still new to the e-bike world. I don't have a lot of money, expendable money, to just kick around. But what I will be doing is keeping the controller and doing what's called a shunt mod to it. And what that is adding a little bit more solder to the shunts of the controller, which essentially sense how many amps are going through the controller. And when you add more solder material, when you add more material or a bigger shunt in general, the controller thinks that there's less amps going through the controller than there actually is, thus allowing itself to take on more amps. And now the thing is with that is you have to know the battery BMS limit, and the battery BMS limit of the stock wired battery is 40 amps, right? 40 amp controller, 40 amp BMS, so they match up nicely stock wise. And so to get around that, what I'm doing is getting a second battery with another 40 amp controller and running them in parallel. And what that's going to allow me to do is to essentially have double the amount of amps I can draw from my batteries, thus allowing me to put more watts in. So Steve mentioned that these motors can handle just over 3,000 watts somewhat comfortably. And so I might install a little fan in the controller to make sure everything stays cool, a little 40 millimeter fan, hook it up to the USB port of one of the batteries, or maybe not, I'll wire it in some other way, or maybe I'll just put some air openings, I don't know yet. But I'm gonna have this thing peak at around 3,500 watts and just do a small shunt mod little by little until I get around somewhere around 60 amps going into the motor. And what that'll do, what a shunt mod does, is all it does is gives you more torque. It doesn't give you more top speed, but it will give you more torque so that you can get to that top speed faster and you can maintain more speed going up hills. But it will not make the RPM of the motor go faster. That's what higher voltage is for. So if I did do 72 volts with the existing motor, I would get more top speed. But wind resistance is a big factor when you get over 30 miles an hour. So you need exponentially amounts more power to get closer to 40 and especially 50 and oh my god, even 60. It's crazy. Some of these bikes that have multiple, like over 10 kilowatts, over 10,000 watts, even they struggle to get close to 60 miles an hour. Maybe that's just because it's not an aerodynamic system. Maybe it's inefficient. I don't know what it is, but this thing will get 3,500 watts, and I think that'll be plenty, especially with the battery I'm getting. It's a 25 amp hour triangle battery from Unit Power Pack. And they didn't have it in stock on Unit Power Pack's website, so I had to talk to one of their representatives. I reached out on Facebook, and she helped me in customizing the battery, the type of BMS I want, the type of cells I want, how many amp hours I wanted, what kind of connector I wanted, and she priced it out for me. And the battery itself was $399, excuse me, that was like $370 something plus shipping. It ended up being a total of $500, which is pretty good for that size battery. So in total, I will have 45 amp hours, which is awesome. And I plan on putting that battery right in the cavity of the step-through opening, because this is a cruiser model. So I like the suspension of the Freedom, but there's no place to put that triangle battery, and that's what I really want. And so that's going to be the plan. I'll make some videos in the future regarding that once I start getting the parts. Second battery, shunt mod, little bits and pieces here and there, a little bit more mods, and just turn this thing into more of a monster than it already is. I'm excited. Again, guys, if you do want to support this channel, show this channel some love, if I have earned your subscription, feel free to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. And if you do want to buy a bike like this Wired Cruiser or the Wired Freedom, I do have an affiliate link in the description from the owner of the company. And if you use that link to buy the bike, this channel gets a little bit of a commission. And then it'll just let me know that you guys like this content. I'll try and keep making more content for you guys on cool e-bikes from my perspective. Every reviewer has their own perspective, and I try and really use my bikes before reviewing it. That's why I don't review as soon as I got this thing. I only did a couple comparison videos, but now I have a good idea of what this bike is like, especially compared to the Kepler, which is the main competitor.
So guys, that is the end of part 1 of the Wired Cruiser review. This was the on-road portion. Stay tuned for the off-road review, which will be part 2, where we're going to test the Wired Cruiser, how it does off-roading on rocks, dirt, and hill climbing in those conditions.